Shut up.
Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this new series of Fit for Change. My name is Kris Thorne, and I'm joined here with my co-host, Fee Hills. And together over the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at what you can do as an organization really to make your people fit to manage an ever-changing and disruptive workplace. Now, just a quick intro of who we are before we get started. I'm a change leadership coach and trainer, and I've been working with people in change for really about 15 plus years now. And I've noticed that we all respond pretty similarly to change. And in an effort to make more change happen, I've partnered up with Fee. Now, Fee has been working in behavior and culture change for probably 20 plus years, and she's co-founder of Mind Nudger AI and our chief learning designer. Now, over the coming weeks, we're going to be looking at what's going on out there in the world. What do we need to be doing in our organizations so that people are changing and we're affecting the positive changes that we want in the workplace? Now, just to set the scene, really right now we are in something called the experience economy. And the experience economy is where products and services are not the only thing that companies are selling. They are also putting people in an experience. And really, we need to be doing the same thing in our organizations if we want to attract and retain the talent of the future. Because especially since COVID, people are more conscious than ever of working for organizations that align with their values, give them a sense of purpose, give them great learning experiences, particularly Gen Z and Gen Alpha, our upcoming talent. And if you're not doing that, you're going to be missing out. And we've been doing research and development for a number of years on this topic of change in organizations. And one of the things that we're really wondering right now is, given that we are in this experience economy where people are making untold millions, putting people and giving people an experience, and also given that in an organization, your people's experience of learning and development opportunities and organizational change are two of the most important experiences that they're going to have at work. Why historically have we been giving people such poor experiences in these two areas? And more importantly, how can we actually turn this around? How can we give people a more positive experience of learning and change in the workplace? Now, that's really the driving force and our mission behind these sessions, and my mission in particular, to help people to become fit for change. Fit for change means being equipped not just in the short term, but also really in the long term to be able to navigate this AI-driven disruptive workplace we're in. Now, as I said, we've been doing a huge amount of research for the last 4 years, thousands of hours, hundreds of thousands of pounds, and we're going to be pulling back the curtains for you on what we have learned about how can we actually create great experiences for people at work? How can we actually make mindset and behavior change happen, which ultimately leads to the culture changes that we're all seeking in order to make a great place to work. Now, in the course of our research, we identified a number of key factors that are critical to helping people to make these changes. Our mission is to help you to speed, scale, and sustain those changes. Now, of course, there's a huge number of factors that go into making up engaged and productive organizations, but we've honed in on 6 that we feel are particularly key if you want to create a workplace that's fit for change. So let's just quickly touch on what these are. So firstly, experiential and empathetic leadership. Now, experiences that we gain from a leader are pointless if we don't combine them with a deep empathy and understanding of what our people need to thrive. And when we can put those two together, they're very powerful. It means that we'll have a more compassionate, engaged, and effective environment because people will have enhanced morale, better communication, and we're certainly going to make better decisions, which I think we'd all agree pretty much needs to happen in every organization across the board. Experiential learning and introspection. Now, this is all about gaining knowledge through direct experiences and reflecting on those experiences in a way to then really put them into practice in a practical and usable way, not just comprehension and memorizing content, but actually using those skills to do something with it. And it promotes personal growth and deeper thinking, which is what we need to be fostering in our organizations. Continuous learning and transformation. There is no point going through continuous change and learning if we don't build upon those experiences, if we don't iterate, we don't innovate, and we don't use them to help drive us forward so that we can be more progressive, more innovative. It helps us to stay more competitive in the wake of all the disruption out there in the marketplace. Tacit knowledge. Now, this is an interesting one. People may not be familiar with this one, but tacit knowledge is that implicit knowledge. It's something that you almost can't tell somebody what it is. You have to show them and they observe you doing it and pick it up. But this is crucial if you want to leverage the competitive knowledge amongst the people across your organization. It's what helps you to foster innovation, novel solutions, and take advantage of the capabilities that you have in your people. Emotional intelligence and well-being. It goes without saying that if we don't have that, we are hardly going to have positive mental and emotional and physical health. And as we know with the figures of burnout and people quiet quitting and everything else, this is a crucial factor in organization success. And finally, higher order thinking skills. Now, the World Economic Forum has identified the top 25 skills that organizations need to thrive in the 2025 workplace. And these skills, critical thinking, problem solving, analysis, decision making, are vital if we want to be able to create and sustain the sort of positive changes that we need in the workplace. Now, here at Mind Nudger AI, we've broken all this down into a number of ways to help people move forward. But really what it comes back down to is we focus on changing a frame of mind one at a time. Now you might think, really, that sounds is that going to be enough? But actually it is, because that is actually the level that you need to get down to in order to truly affect mindset and behavior change. And it creates a ripple effect across the organization that's then what drives your culture and behavior change and moves your organization forward. Now, Fee is going to be unpacking a little bit for us. How does all this work? We're going to start to do a bit of a deep dive, pull back the curtain, demo the Dyson for you on what we've actually come up with to solve these pretty big pressing problems in our organization. So, Fee, can I hand over to you?
Blimey, that's you did that quick. That was brilliant. Thank you, Kris. What I'm going to say is I just had to laugh at that just made me smile with the what did you say about Dyson?
We're going to demo the Dyson. Anytime people come up with something new and innovative and clever, the first question we want to know was, well, how's it work? What are you talking about? I think HR and L&D leaders and OD, you understand the problems that are out here. We don't need to unpack all this for you. You understand what you're facing. What you're interested in is, okay, so you say you've come up with a way of solving this problem. Well, show me how does it work? How are you going to do it? And that's what we're all about, is we're going to show you how to do it.
And I think that is the key, and that's why I love that analogy. The show me the Dyson. So if you walk past the market or something, and somebody has this wonderful new, I'm going to call it Hoover, but that was a brand, wasn't it? Vacuum cleaner, whatever you want to call it. And they were saying, hey, this is an innovation, and look at what we're doing. I think people want to see, well, show me how it works, and that's exactly right. So that's a great analogy. So it made me smile on a Monday morning. Yeah, so let's break this down. what Kris is doing here is she is hosting. So it won't only be me, obviously it'll be other colleagues and guests who can really contribute, because this is a not one size fits all, and it's a massive problem. Fit for change is, really quick to say, but what does it actually mean to get our people fit for change is huge, right? But as Kris said, we've been working on this challenge for more than 4 years, but 4 years intensely, full time, as an extensive team. And during that time, we've done something called research and development. So we've researched to do development, if you like, and then had to validate and test what we've done. And we finally got to a platform, if you like, that has hit certainly the minimum viable, but I think beyond that, of how we actually speed up or help organizations speed up, scale, and sustain mindset transformation, behavior transformation, human-centric skills, and culture change. And that all sounds very big, but the common denominator is human change, human-centered change, human-centric change. What do you want to call it? Doesn't matter. The point is, I think, Kris, you did say, you asked a couple of questions which I thought were really insightful, which was, why are we historically have given people such a poor experience through change? And I'm generalizing here. So if you give your people an amazing experience through change, let's beg for forgiveness. But in general terms, statistic tells us that we're giving our people a very poor experience in the workplace when it comes to learning and change, actually. But these two are very, they're bed partners, aren't they? So,
and Fee, can I just
Can I
just jump in here for a sec? Because when you say that, I mean, my background is business transformation projects, and historically, what I've seen on those projects is that it's a bit of a mixed bag. But part of the reason I segued out of that sphere was that I was getting a little frustrated. I wasn't seeing change happen. There was a lot of talk of people, process, and technology, but what I was finding was that a lot of the emphasis was put on the process and the technology. Certainly that's where the budget was going, and training, sadly, was often a bit of an afterthought. And I think, sadly, sometimes that still holds true today, is like, what's the bare minimum that we can give people for development so that they'll stick around? I think it's easier to focus on processes and technology because they're very, they're pretty tangible, they're pretty measurable. The key thing is they don't talk back.
I was just about to say,
people talk back. Is that your experience, Fee?
Yeah, they don't talk back. They, you program them and they do as they're told, by and large, we hope. But it's exactly right. Of course, people are complex and they're messy. So we tend to, in the three things, process, technology, people, the human has to almost come last if we want our sanity, but it can't. And that's the truth. When we talk about human-centered change, we need to mean it. And if we take a while to make that happen, we need to find innovative ways to put the people at the center of the experience. Because if we don't, we will carry on getting the same results we've got in change, which are sadly poor. And what we're focused on here is, rather than focused on organizational design or anything like that, it really is about the human side. And it really is about what makes those people fit to change. So sticking to the subject, how can we make their experience, not just how can we make it tolerable from being poor, but how can we leapfrog and make it amazing, as I like to say. Why can't it be great? Why can't people embrace change and have a great experience through change? It doesn't have to be poor. But one thing's for sure, we need to take our people with us on that journey, or at least have an intent of taking with our people with us on that journey. So,
as you said before, it's about helping people to navigate change. It's a mindset navigation platform. I mean, there's this idea that people don't like change, and it's not that it's not. I think that people don't like change. It's change itself. It's how they're being imposed. The change is being imposed upon them. They don't have control over how they're going through that change, what the change is, or how they're going to, what they need to do in order to experience it. And so by giving them tools and a means to break it down, because I always find that breaking change down seems to be the key to avoiding overwhelm, we're giving them a means of navigating through that change. And Fee's now going to unpack for us, what do we mean by a navigation system?
Yeah, well, that's a great way. That's a great sort of segue into this. Is what we want to do, and what we've wanted to do with the mission of MindNudger AI, which is basically a mindset navigation platform. And it's everything, the component parts and the whole system that has been designed and carefully designed and tested and failed and made good again and so forth. We've been through this iteration process ourselves to be able to say we can speed, scale, and sustain change. And there are many component parts that come together to make that innovation work. It can't work with a let's just throw some technology at it. It can't work with a let's throw some AI at it. That's not the answer. This has to start anyway with a methodology, a key methodology that focuses learner-centered, human-centered, all these phrases that are out there that the organizations are finding it hard to adhere to because they need the tools to do it, to make that transition from what is really less human-centered and more technology-focused to how do I start with the person, or at least how do we bring the people with us? So how do we align these things together? And with the mindset navigation platform, we need it because the world's changing so quickly. So we can't be expected to do this in a linear fashion, and we can't be expected to do it manually in any way, shape, or form. And as I said, the answer is not to throw technology at this, because technology in isolation won't make it happen. So over the next while, over the next sort of months, we will be, I suppose you'd call that really, Kris, what do you call that? Drawing the curtain back.
Yeah, behind the scenes, really.
Behind the scenes look.
Why did we do, well, what did we find in the research? How did that come together? Why did we decide to develop and do what we do? What have been, what's been going on with some of the pilot programs that we've had? We've had some great successes there. Because anytime there's something a bit new and unusual, people always want to really understand it before they go for it, don't they?
Yes. And also there is an educational process in any innovation. And we feel it's our job to try and break that down so it isn't too overwhelming. And certainly for a start, I want to tell you what we will be covering, and certainly Kris will be covering it even when I'm not here, which is fostering continuous learning. So that's one element. We call that part of the system on the platform. It's called Mind Nudging Journeys, or a journey platform. The second thing is sort of accelerating embedding learning. We need to accelerate learning. So as well as speeding learning, we need to as well as speeding it up, we need to scale it. So all of these component part needs to be in place. And then of course we need to sustain it. So part of accelerated learning is this pop-up LearningScape, we call that. And you'll find out why when we show how it works. It's a LearningScape. So it's taking training and turning it experiential, and also enabling a factor after any session to be able to embed one behavior, I was going to say thought, that's a little bit too tiny, one frame of mind, one behavior or one skill at a time. So it's a very all of these are iterative processes, but they work in slightly different ways to achieve a blended approach to learning and change. So whilst we need continuous learning, what we'll say there, and this is what makes mind nudging different, is that continuous learning needs to shift from information so much heavy to transformation heavy. And so being learner-centered is an important part of developing any continuous learning initiative, or I'd like to say project, but continuous learning by nature is not a project. So the third thing, sorry, I got waylaid there, cultivate social learning. So an element needs to be in there from our research and development. Again, we'll pull back the curtain on that, is social learning. And that's part of that is shared thinking, but it's also about shared thinking in a very cultivated way. So we put in tools that can help people share learning and thinking and ideas and experiences more functionally and more effectively. But again, we'll pull back the curtain on that. And then create deep introspection. Part of what we need to do here, and a lot more of it, is introspection, reflection. We all know that. We're all talking about it. You hear that a lot now. And whilst introspection can't be an isolated process, it is part of the process of mindset transformation if we want to speed, scale, and sustain. And remember, our mission is not just about mindset transformation. It's about doing that on a very large scale and accelerating the process and sustaining that long term. So that is a tall order. And we found that all of these infrastructures need to be in place in a, if you like, in a sensible platform that can allow the process to happen sort of seamlessly. Now, the other thing in the middle, you might see that nice pyramid looking thing, and that's called a concept pyramid. And that lies at the engine behind everything we do. And what that does is individualize everything. So what it's doing is, again, I don't want to go into teaching mode here in any way, shape or form, but what's it doing is creating a sort of pyramid of each subject. So if you took, we're starting with psychological safety. And the reason we're starting with psychological safety when it comes to workplace development and change is because it lies right at that foundation. So it's numero uno, get psychological safety right.
You can't have continuous learning without it.
No, that's right. I mean, yes, that's right. So if you looked at this pyramid you'd have for psych safety, I just want to talk about the psych safety and the pyramid sort of AI model behind it and how that's built. Is the psych safety concept pyramid is the biggest one because it had so many concepts needed for leaders to understand to foster psychological safety. So what we've done is build an AI model of what all the hundreds of concepts required for leaders to have an understanding of and an embodiment of in behavioral terms into an AI model. So the AI model, through the journeys, understand what good looks like, and then it can start to mind nudge the leaders in what they need, but not in what they don't need. So if they're not quite getting one concept or another concept, but they have other concepts, because all our maps of our sort of concept idea of any subjects is completely unique to us. So what this is doing is it's recognizing, for example, Kris, if you were going through this and you were a leader and you needed to foster psychological safety, sheep dipping is just not going to work in this. Just not going to work. So what this does is say, okay, so Kris has an understanding of these sort of 50 concepts, but hasn't quite got these other 50. So it'll start mind nudging Kris. And if it was me, it would be different concepts. It's a bit like I'm no good at trigonometry. If I need to understand that, well, you take a lot, by the way, of mind nudging to get me good at trigonometry. But you get the point. It's working to the needs of the individual. And it's understanding, Kris hasn't got this concept yet. Let me mind nudge her again. So in simplistic terms, it's navigating Kris to become a master at psych safety, the techniques and the skills and the behaviors that she needs as a leader to foster that. But everybody's path may be slightly different.
And Fee, can you just, because as you're saying that, I'm wondering if people might be thinking, well, how does that differ from like a content management, an LMS system? What's different about this?
I mean, look, that's just such a great point to pull up, because with concepts in the mind's case of understanding, the mind works in concepts. So if we imagine a pyramid of a subject, all subjects will have a pyramid, what mastery looks like in a sort of intangible way, but that's how the mind, of course, the mind is intangible, right? We're working with the concepts of the mind, and if you're missing any concepts, we fill in those gaps. In very simple layman's terms, that's what the AI is doing. It's navigating the mind nudging that you need, or the learning that you need, right? On the other hand, if you've got something like and the analogy of, say, Netflix, and I use Netflix, I know it's not in learning, but in Netflix, if you keep liking and watching certain things, or in many platforms, the clever AI algorithms will work out that you like crime or true crime or whatever it may be, and it will send you more of the same on YouTube, right? So what it's doing is it's more preferences led rather than understanding led, or behavior needs, or thinking needs. So if I need to change a frame of mind, it doesn't recognize that, but it recognizes that I like this or I like that. So it's giving you more. Well, in learning terms, it's the same sort of thing. If you're looking at information, it works out what information I'm enjoying or good at or whatever, and it's sending me more of that information. So when it comes to mindset transformation, so we're not talking just about learning here, we're talking about mindset and behavior change. This is essential, this way we do it. In learning terms, sometimes that information is essential and it's useful, not when it comes to mindset and behavior change. So does that answer the question, Kris?
Yeah, so it sounds like really what this is it's not just looking at what I'd like to learn about. It's actually identifying the gaps in my concepts, or gaps in my knowledge, I suppose, or the gaps in my understanding. Maybe that's a better way of putting it, because it's not just information that leads to transformation. Change isn't just about learning new skills, it's about applying this knowledge. And so by understanding which concepts people don't understand or need to refine in a particular area, so to develop like safety or a growth mindset or what have you, it's kind of helping you to fill in the gaps, really, isn't it? So it's almost like helping you to create like a picture. It's quite complex to break down a mindset like this and to work out, okay, well, what are these concepts that people would have if they had psych safety, a growth mindset, or leadership, or whatever that topic may be. So it's quite a complex process on our end to design that. But then on your end, it's seamless, because as you're going through and you're getting those nudges, and we space the nudges out in such a way so that they fit into your working week. And they're spaced in such a way so that, whether you work from home or you work in an office setting, there's sufficient time in the journey so that you'll get an opportunity to apply that learning in whatever context you need. So it just gives you an opportunity to fill in the gaps, I guess is the way I would say it, to then really develop that higher level understanding to then put those practices into place in your workplace.
Yeah, exactly. So what you've got is going on from what you're saying there is like, if you think about site safety as a sort of program, then we're giving them information as this is what good looks like, and if you do this, it will be fine. And there's a massive difference, or chasm. Do you say it like chasm in America? Do you say? Yes. Between knowing and understanding and doing and embodying that skill or behavior. This is about development more than it's about learning, just learning. We've got to, you used a good word before, and that's understanding. And to have a deep mastery of something, we need to understand the individual concepts that are involved in it. And we need to understand them at a level of embodiment rather than, especially with behavior and skill. So yeah, I mean, that there's a huge difference between mindset and just learning a piece of information or data. And also what this means is we can now measure that behavior change,
which is so critical, because what gets measured gets managed, right? If we don't know where we stand, and you might be thinking, well, how do I know what the changes are that my people will make? Well, and that's really where we've kind of done the work for you, really, by designing these concept pyramids around areas like psych safety, growth mindset, which we all know we need in our organization. Then you can feel confident that your people are getting what they need in order to develop those skills and knowledge, and more importantly, that mindset going forward. We've done the heavy lifting for you, but then you can also see as they're going through the journey that it's working, that they were here and now they're here and now they're here.
It's really important. Analytics, I can't tell you, I mean, everybody knows this now anyway, but how important analytics are. And to bring that, what I like about the analytics in this day and age is that we can now take what was always intangible and make it more tangible and say, this is the effect, right? That's the performance increase, blah, blah, blah. That's the growth. And also, if we want to create new knowledge, we have to get this mindset and behavior change, culture change, much more up to date. It is the whole approaches to it. And it's been outmoded, really.
Well, and it's about getting the environment right and getting the type of learning right, because if you haven't got the right environment and you aren't helping people to get the right mindset, you can waste thousands or probably even millions, depending on the size of your organization, just sending people on courses or workshops, and they go away for the day and it's super, and they get some great learning, they come back, but a couple of weeks later it's forgotten. And
just on the timing, we're at 30. So I said I'd keep an eye on the time for you. I don't, should have relied on me for that one. What I would say is, so we're going to close off now because the time's up. But to say over the next, well, I'm going to say months, because it's a regular session for you, isn't it, Kris? But we feel our role is to take you inch by inch. You love that saying, Kris?
yes,
Inch by inch through this in a very practical way, pull the curtain back bit by bit. And we're going to start with the psychological safety mind nudging journey and breaking that down to how it was developed, why it was developed like it was developed, what it does, the expectations, how it can be measured, etc. And that's next week. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, that's absolutely right. Yeah, because really, to be fair, you need a working example, right, to put some of this in context, because just content without the context isn't very helpful. So yes, that's what we're going to be unpacking for you next week. So just want to thank everybody for coming along and having a listen. We hope you've gained some valuable insights today, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next week.
We will. Oh, I was going to leave you with a really nice slide there for more information. But I don't know where the slide is. I think we put it on the other thing. So rather than share it a whole nother slide deck, what I'm going to do now is say that if anyone wants to DM Kris Thorne or myself, Fee Hills, you can sort of DM either one of us, ask any questions, and we're here to support you in any way we can. So from me, thank you very much, Kris, for having me here.
Yep.
And thank you very much, everybody, for either listening live or watching back the recording. And thank you. Have a great week. Kris?
Cheers.
Thank you.